Are you a student, mentor, or parent that loves robotics?
Then you're in the right place.
Up-to-date info on all things robotics. This
is the RoboZone podcast
with your host, Pete Eckman. The RoboZone podcast is brought to you by Kettering University. It's a Kettering-built world.
Hello and welcome to the 55th episode of the RoboZone podcast. This podcast is for Tuesday, April 3rd. In this episode, it's an all-rookie, all-star rookie roundup rookie episode. If you haven't caught on by now, it's about rookies. And what we have learned thus far in this season, how we can help rookie teams look forward to their second season next year, and some rookies are still fighting it out to make championships in their states and in their districts and in their regionals. So we have some of the favorites from this past season. We have some newcomers. So let's get to first updates.
Now it's time for the first update.
Since our last episode, team update number 19 has come out, and in that episode, it's blank. In that update, there are no additional rules to change for this year. So, as we've said all season, make sure you know all the rules going into the championships, and if you're still qualifying, good luck.
The RoboZone podcast is brought to you by AndyMark.com, your robot parts experts.
Up now is the RoboZone Rookie Rundown.
Hello, this is Pete Eckman with the RoboZone podcast. This is the 55th episode of the RoboZone podcast, and this is a special episode. We're having a rookie all-star roundtable episode. We're getting ready for rookies that are lucky enough to have earned their way to the state championships here in Michigan and around first for the Rookie All-Star Award. Also, they may have qualified their bot. So with me today, the first person I'd like to introduce is Paul. Paul, please introduce yourself and tell us what team you're representing.
Hi, I'm Paul Garrett. I'm a teacher at Langsburg High School, and I represent Team 7166 Red Thunder Robotics.
Paul, thanks for introducing yourself. Cheryl, please introduce yourself.
My name is Cheryl Deehr. I'm at Morris High School, and I represent team number 7202, the Cyber Orioles.
And the final pair we have on tonight is the Bolingers, Clinton and Brandi Bolinger.
Hey, Pete.
How's it going?
Good. So we're past week 5. We're heading into week 6. We wanted to do a rookie all-star rundown, special edition. So let's do a little update. We'll start with you, Brandi and Clinton. You guys just competed this past weekend. So how did the Engine Nerds do at Troy?
We had a good event. We ranked 6th overall. I think we got picked up by the number 3 Alliance, which was Strike Zone. We ended up facing the number 2 Alliance in the semis, beating them, moving on to the finals. And after 3 hard, really close fought matches, we ended up getting knocked out by the number 1 seed. But honestly, we probably could have played those matches 5 times, and it would have been back and forth. They were extremely close. I feel like they have been some of the closest matches I've seen this season. So it was a great time.
Paul, how has your team done this year?
We've had one event, and our next one is this upcoming weekend. We played in Lansing at the Mason High School. For our first time, I think we were pretty happy. We got stressed out from the couple days because we didn't know what to expect, and we had a ton of fun. Our bot broke down a couple times. Our programming was kind of rough, but by the time we got to the end of the event, we learned a ton, and I think the kids actually got a ton out of it. So I think that's really what I care about coming out of it.
And because there were so many rookies there, I'm just realizing that I played with you at that event. I just didn't know you by name. I haven't met you by name. I know you by face. And Cheryl as well, because Cheryl, you were at Lansing, weren't you?
Yes, we were. Yep, that was our first one. And we ranked 20 there.
Cheryl, tell us a little bit about how your team has done this year.
We ranked 20th at the Lansing event. Mason, or at Shepherd, we were 26th. Fell a little bit there. That one it felt a little more competitive, I think, a little more intense. And then we were having major issues with the wiring coming loose and the sparks blowing and things like that. So it was a little tougher.
Cheryl, tell us how Shepherd was more competitive than Lansing, because you, me, and Paul all competed at Lansing. Tell us a little bit more about Shepherd.
All right, I'm trying to figure out how to word this. I think because it was back to back, we did the week 4 and then went right to week 5, so it felt like no resting. And it was a much longer drive. So I think when we got there, we were probably already. Oh yeah, there were less rookie teams at Shepherd. We competed against more rookie teams at Mason. I think that might have helped us a little bit. I don't know.
Well, we did have 13 rookie teams at Mason, and that was, or the Lansing district event, and that was the most rookies I've ever seen at an event. Brandi and Clinton, can you remember an event they had more than that amount of rookies at a single event? Have you ever seen that before?
What's the number? I think Forest Hills is pretty good up there with the number of rookies.
Yeah, I mean, we've been to several events in the past where, you see, 10 or more rookie teams there. And I think it just definitely comes down to where the growth is concentrated in the area. If there's a specific program that's trying to grow teams in their area, or if there's a resource center that's available for rookie teams to continue to grow, I think you're going to see more growth in that area. But I mean, you'll see events that only have 2 rookie teams. You'll see events that have 10 or more rookie teams. It just depends on each year. There was one year in Michigan that we grew 96 rookie teams in a year. So there was definitely a high concentration of that at events that year.
Yeah, and I don't know the exact amount of rookie teams here in Michigan, but I think it's pretty close this year because I just based on the numbers that I've seen, they're getting up there pretty high.
I believe that there are just over 60 rookie teams this year in the state of Michigan.
Wow. Still, it was an amazing event at Lansing. And Cheryl, thanks for giving us some info on Shepherd. And I don't know, Paul, where are you competing this weekend?
We're competing at Marysville High School.
Which I heard is going to be a great event. There's a lot of good teams going out there. Myself, we're going out to Lakeview out in Battle Creek, so that's going to be an interesting one. There's just under 10 rookie teams there, so that should be interesting as well. So I wanted to invite everyone onto this special edition of the podcast for, centered around rookies. And I should say, Miss Bolinger gave us some things we wanted to talk about. So the first thing we wanted to talk about, who's eligible for the All-Star Rookie and what is it, Brandi? Can you give us a little bit of a breakdown?
So the Rookie All-Star Award is an award that is available to any first-year team who is participating in first. So not just in the state of Michigan, but anywhere around the world if you're participating in first and this is your first year. There's also some strange little caveats where if your team was founded a long time ago, but then disbanded and then came back, you can be eligible as a rookie team for that. But for the most part, it's going to be teams, I believe it's like 6,900 or 6,800 something and above. So the Rookie All-Star Award is definitely an award that is an honor to receive. And first pretty much talks about the Rookie All-Star Award as if you are a chairman's team in the making. When the judges come around to your pits and talk to you, it is about a team that you wouldn't know as a rookie if you didn't know what team number they were or that it was their first year. So they say that a Rookie All-Star Award team is exemplifying what first is all about and first mission statement, even though they're a young team.
And that's the All-Star Rookie Award, Brandi. How do rookies qualify for states with the robot and not for the All-Star Rookie Award?
So at all district championships, not just in Michigan, you can actually go to the FRC tournament manual starting on page 124, section 10.12.3.7. And it describes in there how you go from your district championship to your state or regional championship with your robot or with the Rookie All-Star Award. Aside from the Rookie All-Star Award, every rookie team is eligible to go to their district or state championship by qualifying within the top seeds of their district. So when you go into the manual, it actually breaks down in there for each district area how many spots there are at that event. So in Michigan, we are 160 teams qualify for the Michigan State Championship. The next closest capacity for district championships is the First Ontario Championship with 80 teams. So if you are in the state of Michigan, the top 160 teams, no matter how long you've been playing, get to go. And the same thing happens in other districts where if there's teams that have one chairmans that are outside of that 160, they move up, and then the 159th team moves out. So as long as you have scored the number of points, there's no exact cutoff number. It's not like they say if you score 75 points in district points, you get to go. It's based on your rankings and the capacity for that district's championship.
And rookies, by default, do get a certain amount of points given to them, correct?
Yep. So first-year teams receive 10 points toward their rankings in their district, and then second-year teams receive 5 points. So that in your ranking system, these will be called age points. So that gives the ability for rookie teams who've not been doing this for very long a little bit of an edge, so that they can be competitive with teams who've been doing this for several years.
And finally, Brandi, what for those teams that are going to, I can come off the top of my head, 7211 Team Hollywood, Jeremy Callahan, how are they supposed to get ready for the interview for the Rookie All-Star Award when they're presenting at states?
So each district policy on the interview is actually a little bit different. So what you're going to want to do is look for an email coming from the event coordinator for your district. So in the state of Michigan, you'll be receiving an email from the event coordinator or the volunteer coordinator or the awards coordinator who will give you the details exactly of what to do. So in general, it's the exact same as the chairman's presentation. So if you want to go into the awards section of the first website on the resource area and look at the first chairman's award, the interview is going to be pretty much identical to that at the Michigan State Championship. I can't speak for other districts or regional championships in first, but in Michigan, you're going to get a 7-minute presentation. So this is an opportunity for you to write and practice a presentation. It can be something very formal where you give a formal presentation. It can be a less formal presentation where you're giving some information, or it can be as something as simple and fun as a skit. Last year when Team 6344, the Yale Gigawatts won, I had the honor of helping them do some of their presentation, and their presentation was a hilarious skit. But then the other team that won, I saw some of their presentation, and it was more formal. They came dressed in suits with a presentation board and gave information about the things that they do. So the things that you want to remember during your 7-minute presentation is that you want to leave an impression on the judges. You want to give them information that is pertinent to the statistics of your team, the growth that you've experienced in your first year, any challenges that you may have overcome, and the impact that you have had on your school and your community and robotics programs around you. And I know that this sounds like a lot for some of you rookie teams who have won this, but the smallest things that you're doing can make the biggest impact, and communicating that to the judges in an effective way is something that's definitely going to give you the edge over the other competitors.
Now that presentation where you got to watch a couple of those presentations, which you told us about, Brandi, can teams that may be going, if there's a rookie team, if we don't make states and we want to go watch it, is it open to the public that can watch those presentations so we have a better understanding of what chairmans might be later on as a rookie team?
It is not. All presentations are actually closed. Teams can select up to 3 presenters that are student team members on the team. If you need language interpretation or a sign interpreter, you're allowed to send that person in, but they have to be a silent observer other than providing translation services. And then you can send 1 adult mentor observer from your team in who has to be silent and can't make any kind of contact with the presenters at all. They can't even take video or audio recording.
Oh, wow. That's some serious stuff then. They're not joking around.
It's very closed. which I think is a little bit unfortunate because, I think that there's a lot of students I know on the Engineers that this is what they do for the season. They prepare for these awards, they prepare for this Q&A, and this is their contribution to the team. And it's so closed and their team members don't get to see it aside from maybe them practicing it in front of them. But we get to see every team play every robot, every match. So my advice to those teams is to, once you've made your presentation, to present it in front of your team. We have a tradition on the Engineers where our 3 presenters go in front of our entire team as if that they are the judging panel, and they give the presentation so that everyone on our team knows exactly what's going on in there.
And there will be one person or one team awarded as the representative from the Michigan district for the All-Star Rookie Award winner, correct? That moves
There
on
will
to
be
federal. I was going to say federal. Oh, there's 2. Okay.
Yep. Because of the increase in teams that we're sending, there's actually a formula that calculates how many chairman's teams, how many rookie all-star teams, how many of the different representatives that your district championship gets to send. And because of the increase in teams in Michigan, we do get to send 2 rookie all-stars.
Nice. And then they'll present at Worlds.
There is not a presentation for this at Worlds. It will be similar to at the districts where the judges come around pit to pit and you get your opportunity to present your spiel there.
Okay, so those teams that are, if they're award winners, the 2 award winners for the Rookie All-Star on behalf of the Michigan district will automatically qualify for Worlds for their robot then?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
So you could actually, if you're a team that has not qualified with your robot, but you have qualified with the Rookie All-Star Award, you could not compete with your robot at the Michigan State Championship, win Rookie All-Star, and take your robot to Worlds.
Interesting. That's a very interesting path. It is a nice path for those that may not have qualified for the state championships. But my next question I have is actually for Mr. Bolinger. Now, you and me had a nice talk about the power-up game at Kettering Week 0. Do you remember that discussion?
A little bit, yeah.
So I always like to pick your brain, and it's usually at Michigan State Championship that I ask you this question. How do you feel about the game now?
I don't know. It's still. I still haven't made my decision on it. I think the game at the higher end can be a lot of fun to play. Like I said, this weekend at Troy, the final matches were amazing and they were a blast to play. Very exciting. I'm not a fan of the qualification matches where, it's a blowout. It's 400 to 40, and the 40 is they crossed the line in autonomous. They got a couple power cubes into the, exchange, and they parked a couple robots on the platform, and it's just a complete blowout. I don't think that's, sorry to say it in this way, I don't think that's very inspirational to some teams. I think it can, make some teams kind of feel a bit down, but like I said, at the higher end level, it can be exciting. And like I said, it's still, I don't know if it's up there with my favorite games, but there are some things that are interesting about it, that are exciting. Like I said, when you're actually playing it. I like to base a lot of my judgment, honestly, on what I think a spectator likes to see. And when it's a blowout, it's not fun to watch, but when there's the back and forth of the scale tipping both ways, it is exciting.
So that brings up a good line of questioning. Paul, have you talked to the parent, because you're a rookie mentor, have you talked to the parents on your team? Are they enjoying watching the game? Are they confused by the game? Have you had to explain it multiple times? What is the feedback you've got from the parents of the students on your team?
I think that when we try to explain the game up front with no visuals at all, I think it'd be really deterring. I found myself 5 minutes later going, I'm not making any sense, am I? Because I've been exposed to this for so long that it's just second nature. But trying to explain this whole competition and what exactly you're doing can be a little much. But the parents that we had come with us to our first competition, when they saw it, they were actually getting really into it. They loved it. And even the kids who were kind of working in the background in our team, they were getting excited and, making jokes that, hey, is this what it feels like to get excited for a sports event? Because they loved it. And I think the parents, once they get there and they watch and see what happens, I think that they can get a lot out of it and they enjoy it a bunch.
And Cheryl, have you had similar feedback from the parents on your team?
Yeah, I'm going to let Rihanna answer this one because she sat with the parents in the stands a lot.
Whenever the parents would ask for an explanation, the response that we usually got was, "Oh, this is really complicated, isn't it?" And we actually had teachers back at our school live streaming the matches. And when we got back, a lot of the students were very confused as to what was going on as well.
So, I mean, they had to have some type of explanation. I remember there was a game introduction video this year, is similar to every year. But were, Cheryl, the kids on your team really excited once they had that aha moment about competing?
Oh yes, it was incredibly exciting, and I think that really got them going, especially when we won a match and when we got the climb. We were on another planet at that point, and the kids were really excited and wanted to do it again. And then the next match we'd crash, and it would be so deflating, and we'd go back to the pits all down and trying to get the robot working again just to get back out there. And a lot of highs and a lot of lows, but when those highs are incredible, and I think really exciting for the kids.
Clinton, I have one more question for you on the game itself, right? Do you think there's so much emphasis on the scale this year that that's really making or breaking the matches?
Yeah, I mean, the scale has got a 2-to-1 ratio, if you will. Not only are you getting points for yourself, but you're also taking them away from your opponent. The switches are still important, more or less important distractions. If you can kind of take a moment to throw 1 or 2 cubes onto their switch, the other team has to make the decision: do I try to take the scale back that I need to still take back, or do I take my switch back for easy points? The scale is important. Yes, it is important. Your first round, your alliance captains, your first round picks, they're all going to be scale bots. However, there's another portion of this game that is important, running the exchange, maintaining your switch, taking your opponent's switch, playing defensive maneuvers that are also important. So just because, teams out there might not be able to do the scale does not mean that they can't be on an alliance and be an effective member. Our partner that we had this weekend, Team 5555, they were amazing at putting cubes into the exchange and doing, playing the power-ups at the right time when we could boost and take the force back. They were awesome, and we couldn't have made it to the finals without them.
So there is a way for robots to pick a certain task, and I think that's what we did with my team this year. We picked a certain task, and we wanted to be really good at it. So I think picked on those alliances. Yeah,
I think most years a team should do that. It's too many times teams try to be the jack of all trades and the master of none. Teams that actually focus on a certain area are going to perform better. Teams that say, hey, we're going to be really good at the scale, we're going to give up climbing and give up our ability to do the exchange maybe to do the scale better, they're going to reap benefits from that. Or other teams who say, you know what, we're going to be a low robot that we can take the switch and we can run the exchange and be a great defensive member. Like I said, they're going to have benefits that they reap from that as well.
So, Paul, now that we have a couple other rookie mentors on here, besides myself and Jeremy Callahan so far this year, what have you learned since before at kickoff to now? How much have you gained knowledge-wise as a mentor?
Well, I guess you could separate it into parts. The first part is, I couldn't even tell you how to attach a motor at the beginning of this, and I'm now designing the bot with all these parts, and I know how everything operates, and I know every bit and piece of left and right how to build program now. I guess specifically as a mentor, I understand the importance of kind of organizing the kids for when the stress comes, because at our first event we had a lot of trouble with that. I didn't anticipate how difficult it would be for them to be there in the environment and be so excited for everything, but also be disappointed when everything didn't work out when it was supposed to. And I think I had to readjust my attitude towards them and say, there's a reason we're here, and you really need to take a step back and look at what you've accomplished in this entire time. So I think I've learned how to kind of be a better literal mentor to kids at that age and focus them on what is really important in this whole thing.
And Cheryl, do you agree with that? I mean, how much have you learned, heading a rookie team for the first time?
I learned a lot, that there is a lot of paperwork involved that I don't like. But really, this team was so student run. They were really, I was just asking them what I needed to order. I didn't even really know what a socket wrench was. Is that what it's called? I really don't know anything about building a robot. I started the program for the kids, so they had something to do other than play football or basketball, because there were quite a few kids that wanted a non-athletic after-school program to do. So I let the students do everything.
Right, and Paul, if I could ask you another question from a mentor's perspective, how many kids are on your team right now? How many kids did you have this year?
16.
Oh, wow, so you have a pretty big rookie team then.
Yeah, considering our school is 70 to 90 people per class, it's pretty massive.
So are you looking to grow that number next year? Are you comfortable with the amount of kids that you have? Are you really senior heavy, or?
I kind of take the same approach that I do with my classes. If I teach a new subject, I need to look at it and do I have a role for everybody that can be there? Like I don't want certain people to be put out, and 16 people, it was certainly a lot going through my first year, because people want to do stuff, and I just don't have the knowledge to say, yes, this is a need that we need filled, and that needs to be done here. And it was more like, look at this, we have a robot, make it better. I just don't have the prior knowledge to be able to help them with that.
And Cheryl, how many kids did you have on your team this year?
We have 10 kids, most of them juniors. I think 8 juniors, 2 freshmen on our team.
So are you looking to grow that into a larger amount for next year, or are you happy with the amount of kids that you had?
I thought it was a pretty good amount, because we had one, except we only have one programmer, but a couple doing electrical, a couple doing building. It was a little easier to manage because there wasn't so many. And they were able to come in, but the problem I had was a lot of my students do other activities. So that was the problem I ran into, was when they could come in and actually help build the robot and run the robot program. But I mean, our graduating class has 40 kids in it. So it's a small school, it's a small district. We probably won't get much more.
And Brandi and Clinton, how can you give us pieces of advice? I mean, some rookie teams are already looking to next year, how they're going to plan out their team, because we all know that first runs year round. So what are some pieces of advice that you two have been in our shoes many moons ago, but you've seen everything? So how can you give some advice for a rookie team that is looking forward to next year already?
One thing that we definitely have found beneficial is taking our robot to the school and doing demos. So we go during lunchtime, we go during parent-teacher conferences, we go during our school hosts an 8th grade night where the 8th graders come to the high school for like an open house type thing, and we bring our robot there. They have club fairs. We're in a relatively large district. We have about 2,700 kids at our high school. We have 2 middle schools with about 1,000 kids at each that are 6th, 7th, 8th. And so we try really hard to get to the middle schools right after the championship. So end of May, and put the robot out there. So we get in the announcements. We try to go on to the tech classes at the 8th grade level and recruit from there. We do a lot of word of mouth recruiting at the high school level. One of our mentors is the technology teacher there, and he does a lot of recruiting for our team. But we also rely a lot on our students who are already on the team to talk to their friends and people that they meet about being on the team and what it is and inspirational to be on the team. One thing that we've also found in our community that's really helpful is during the summertime and into the fall, we do demos at our farmers market. So we called up our local farmers market, and they give us a 10 by 20 spot, and we bring our robot, and we let little kids drive our robot, and we let parents talk to us, and we let people who are business owners in the community come up and talk to us and see the program that we're running. And we've gained mentors, we've gained partners, we've gained students, and we actually started a rookie team all because of our farmers market demos. So there are free things that you can do that are not going to cost your team any amount of money, maybe a little bit of time, but that are going to be very beneficial for you, for your membership sustainability, for your mentor sustainability, and financial sustainability for your team.
How about advice on growing your team? I mean, do you want to grow only a couple kids per season? Do you want to, backfill the seniors that you may have on your team? How far ahead should you look? Do you look 2 years ahead? I mean, coming from a prior coaching sports background, you always look 2 years ahead to know that you're grooming people, for lack of a better word, to fill the spots that you know you're going to need. But how many kids is too many kids for a sophomore team? Do you have any advice?
That you definitely want to look at is the resources that you have available to you. How many mentors do you have? Do you have people on your team, or can you recruit people to your team that are adults that will be able to help you grow your team? So having, 10 to 20 kids on your team when you are a teacher and you don't have an engineering degree, or you don't have a programmer, or you don't have those technical mentors on your team is fine when you have a small team. But when you start to go into a larger team, you definitely want to take into consideration the roles of those people and having those resources there. The second thing that you want to look at is your build space. Where are you building, and how many people can you safely accommodate there in order to grow your team to a sustainable number? Because you'll get to the point that there's not enough jobs for students, there's not enough space for students, and they're just going to fall off anyway. So you might start losing membership because people get word that there's nothing to do on your team, or that it's unsafe for you to meet there. The third thing that you may want to take into consideration is restrictions with your district. So our team only allows 40 students to travel on our varsity robotics team, because that is the number of students that fit on a 52 passenger bus with the correct number of chaperones. So that's our limitation for our varsity travel team. We don't limit the number of students who can join our team, be part of our team, build on our robot, join our junior varsity teams. But those are just some things that you need to take into consideration.
And while we're on this line of questioning, Paul, are there any questions that you have for Brandi and Clinton?
No, I visited them several weeks ago, a while ago actually. I can't remember, but they showed me around, and I think Clinton talked to me for like 3 hours, which was fantastic. He helped me so much understand a bunch of stuff, and being at their facility, I don't know, everything. Just being exposed to this is really helpful. But even if I did have questions, I can't even think of them right now. I'm sure I do somewhere.
Well, they're always available, and Clinton and Brandi will give us their social media, which you can always reach out to them at the end of this episode. Cheryl, are there any questions that you have for Brandi or Clinton while we have our roundtable going on?
Not at this time, but as Paul said, it's the same thing. I definitely will reach out when I need to. And we were at their chassis build in Kettering, and got a lot of information from that. And I've gone to their place to get some parts. So yeah, we're all set right now.
So you've both had plenty of questions for them. You just got face-to-face interaction, which is always great to have, and it's better understanding.
So one thing that I'll touch on for young teams is a lot of times to be honest, the hardest year for most teams are their sophomore years. So usually your rookie year, you get lots of support from a lot of teams. You get funding, you get sponsorship, and everyone wants to help out a new team. So the big thing to remember, as the season, we still got a little bit left in the season. But as you're thinking about next year is, a lot of people call it the sophomore slump, because what a lot of teams do is they usually take on a little bit more than what they can handle. A lot of people are like, oh, we know how this works. We just do this, and we're golden. And things change. Things you thought were true for last year's game don't apply to this year's game, the new game for the next season. So when you're kind of growing as a team, just kind of, you want to push yourself, you want to stretch, you want to make your team a little bit bigger, a little bit better, everything like that. but be very careful of not going too far the opposite direction where you're overstretching yourself. You're going outside of your means and your capabilities and resources that your team has access to, and you'll have a great second year. But like I said, a lot of times that second year is really rough. So just be ready to say, hey, it is our second year, but we can take this. We're going to, take it a little bit slower.
Even though it's your second year, it's still okay to say no. It's still okay to look at your design and say, we're not going to do everything. Just because you've done this for a year, and especially if you've had a very successful first year, that does not mean that you need to carry that on to your second year. It's very easy to remember the success that you had at the end of your year, and when you went to the World Championship as a rookie, or when you won the Rookie All-Star, when you had this great, amazing season, you built this great, amazing robot. It's easy to forget the struggles at the beginning of the year, the training of new students, the turnover of mentors, the finding of finances, the things that make a season start out difficult. Those are easy to forget as the season progresses, and to make sure that you sit yourself down as your year starts to wind up and say, how do we need to set ourselves up for success for next year within the resources that we have?
I think those are all great pieces of advice. No matter where you ended up this year, at least you made it through the year as a rookie team. Making it through the entire season is an accomplishment in itself, no matter where you ranked. So, as each of you sign off, and we're going to start with you, Paul, tell us again your name, your team number, and how we can follow your team on social media.
My name's Paul Garrett, and our team is the Red Thunder Robotics, Team 7166, and we have a Facebook page, facebook.com/Red Thunder Robotics.
And your next event is at, you said, Marysville, correct?
Marysville High School, correct.
Okay, well, we'll wish you luck this coming weekend. Cheryl, you're next.
We're Team 7202 at Morris High School. We're the Cyber Orioles, and you can find us on Facebook and on Instagram at Cyber Orioles.
And finally, we have Clinton and Brandi.
I'm Clinton.
And I'm Brandi Bolinger, and we are with Team 2337, the Engineers out of Grand Blanc, Michigan. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Team 2337, and you can find our website at team2337.com.
And aren't you guys competing in like a third event this coming weekend?
Yes, we are competing at Forest Hills this weekend. This will be our third event. We were fortunate enough to get into the lottery and get a third event. Great opportunity to be able to get that robot on the field again and drive it around some more.
And we'll wish you luck this coming weekend for the Engine Nerds. For any rookie team that's still out there trying to fight their way to the state championships, we wish you all the luck. Any teams that are competing in Week 6, we wish you all the luck. And I want to thank everyone for coming on tonight. I hope you guys have a great night. If you're competing this weekend, good luck, and maybe we'll see you at States.
Up next is the RoboZone Team of the Week.
For this week's Team of the Week, we want to recognize all the volunteers, no matter your position on the field, or for field reset, or if you're an FTA, or if you're a referee, or if you're someone that's controlling the crowd at a local event. We want to thank you for making a very smooth transition in all the events this year. There have been some hiccups, like Lansing, where we played in the lights, but without the volunteers and the First in Michigan personnel, we couldn't have got through that obstacle and any other obstacle related to the events this year. So for anyone, if you've gone out there and you've volunteered your time to help run an event, thank you for everything that you do for the teams that play on those fields and take championships home or just compete. Thank you for everything you do. And with that ends the 55th episode of the RoboZone podcast. You can listen to us on Google Music, SoundCloud, and Apple Podcasts. We look forward to seeing you next week. And if you're one of those lucky teams that are playing in Week 6 and are trying everything you can to make state championships, good luck this weekend. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.
The RoboZone podcast is brought to you by Kettering University. It's a Kettering-built world. Thanks for listening to the RoboZone podcast with your host, Pete Ekman. Find us online at robozonetv.com and on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram.